So I'm with Bobby Yazdani from Saba today, at Saba, being videoed with your very high quality studio here. So thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you for visiting us.
Bobby, you're the CEO and founder and president, I think, of Saba Software, large international software company, global company. And looking at my notes here quickly, I've got here 1,400 customers, 19 million users across 150 countries, and over $1 million in revenue. So
100 millions in revenue.
100, okay, yeah. So if you can just give me like a quick overview of where you see Saba today in this space. You're a mature company. You've got a long history of human capital management. You're one of the founding thinkers around that in the early days of learning management. Where are we today, just in this space?
You know, we look at it as a journey. You know, we've founded the company in '97 because internet was transformational to businesses and how internet could be leveraged essentially to remove barriers in the business. That was our starting point. We found a very special, important problem. It was the transformation of the training and the learning processes essentially over the internet. We became very good at it. We learned how to scale it at the enterprise level. We were able to learn how to globalize the process, how to leverage essentially internet to take a local process and globalize it, standardize it, and do it in a very costly fashion for our customers. Now we've taken all that infrastructure and learning and broadened our offering essentially to the broader human capital and talent management space. As I stated, we started in learning. Now we broadened that to performance management, goals and objective management, performance assessment, compensation, and as as we evolve, there have been new concepts and abstractions being introduced, new ideas or new experiences have been introduced that we are learning how to essentially take advantage to improve what we do currently for our customers, whether it's to do with our training or learning functions within those businesses or the HR function within those businesses, and how do we leverage new technologies to improve those things.
So you're deeply embedded in large enterprise scale companies. Let's talk for a second about the difference between what everybody sort of understands is social media, which is a very fuzzy term at this point in history, which I would argue is very easy to, or relatively easy to do, to create a social network for a relatively small number of people, let's say 80 people in a company. Exponentially harder when you're talking about a global company across the entire planet. So you're clearly very well geared up to do that with on-premise technologies and on-demand technologies, whatever the client wants in this kind of cloud era. Can we speak for a little bit about the sort of the whole scale issue? Because that's something where I play constantly on a business level.
When we talk about social networks, social media, there is an experience that now it's second nature to us. And Facebook and many examples like Facebook have now created or introduced us to this new experience.
Yeah.
Now, how do you take that new experience and leverage that new experience in a global enterprise? It has its own idiosyncrasies and complexity. As you suggested, it's a very different problem creating a small social network and a global social network, not only within your employee base, but also across your value chain. A social network that goes beyond the barriers of, or the walls of your business to your customers and your partners and your suppliers. Why we are equipped to solve this problem is that we've solved that problem for learning management. How an organization standardize essentially providing learning resources on a global basis, independent of location, whether you are an employee or a customer or a partner. We learn how to do that.
Yeah.
We learn to build a global process. We build how to model a global process. We built an information architecture where you can model a value chain, a large enterprise. We understood that the policies and the procedures for global enterprises are complex.
Yeah.
And you need to have a sophisticated approach in terms of how do you handle data, how do you handle access, how do you globalize a process, how do you handle different policies and procedures within an infrastructure of a software to enable that. So we've taken the learning we've had as we globalized learning processes and performance management processes, essentially applied the same sort of learning into and leveraging those learning into how do we establish a business network, a social network across a value chain of an enterprise. The abstraction we care about, we don't believe social networks could be limited to a small group of an enterprise. Our information architecture design allows the network go beyond the employees to the partners and the entirety of the value chain, customers and suppliers. That's a key assumption. Key assumption that not all people speak English, and not all information can reside in one country because of the regulatory issues and the policy issues of different countries. And also the access, how do we manage confidentiality, access, the governance essentially that's required to launch a global process.
Right, right. And just one other little sort of addition to that is that word learning, which people sort of understand to mean training, that's often certification, formal certification. So,
that's part of it.
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't get that in this current era, that in sort of this era of unstructured information and tacit knowledge, that there has to be formal learning and formal certification of skills, which is perhaps being slightly underestimated right now in this social world.
Yeah, I mean, we provide a large set of resources, whether it's assessment and testing, whether they are curriculum, or whether they are certification paths for millions of people worldwide today. Yeah. And there could be industrial companies, governments, as well as a variety of vertical industries like pharmaceutical industries or what have you, where we provide this formal learning. Now, with social networks, we have extended the formal learning and augmented it with the informal learning, where not only you can have access to the formal resources, you have access to a broad set of informal resources in real time. Right. And that's our belief. Our belief is that the capabilities, the experiences of a social network can be leveraged to enhance learning experiences. Yeah. We've done the same thing to extend the performance assessment. We believe that those same techniques, same ideas, same experiences can expand the performance management processes, where we can, what we call the social performance aspects or the social learning aspects. And we think the social networks have excellent and differentiated experiences that we can leverage here.
Great. So with multi-generational workforces, which are obviously increasingly common, we've got people leaving the workforce in vast numbers, we've got people joining the workforce in vast numbers. How do you get that kind of, how does Saba deal at scale with that sort of holistic attitude to that, of actually, the entire company as opposed to lots of little pockets and silos?
Earlier on, we were talking about the construct of having formal and informal processes. Yeah. As you look at the kind of the age bands, you can see the spectrum of desire to have formality and informality. Yeah. So we have introduced a variety of concepts into Saba, where we can augment both experiences because of this multi-generational workforce that the technology have to address. As we have seen in industrial companies, you'll take example of pharmaceutical industry. There is a great deal of need for certification, compliance, formality, because of the regulation and because of safety reasons, where formalities needs to be observed. Therefore, the formal processes are in place within our technology to accommodate the certification process. But on the other hand, the young workforce that join in the R&D organization of the pharmaceutical industry, they appreciate speed, transparency, connectivity.
They expect expertise location.
The expertise, being able to find the people where they would be able to reach out, ask all the questions real time now. And we've augmented both of those needs and requirements into the software experience that we've created. Right. You'll be able to go into Saba. You'll be able to find within Saba based on the expertise you're looking for, the skills or the competence you're looking for, know-how people you're looking for, and you can, immediately get connected with the expertise or the experts. You'll be able to invite a group of experts and have an ongoing conversation with them. It's very different, that experience, than saying that I want to get go through a certification process because I want to formally get trained in a particular skills or competence. Both of those are needed, and both formal and informal experiences we've created within Saba.
Right, and that really kind of covers the whole workforce competencies angle as well, I guess. You're basically empowering workforce competency at scale by doing that.
Yes, we've created this medium, we've created this place where there is no barrier for people to be able to find expertise. It's a place where essentially you can self-curate or prescribe to yourself what your needs are. You'll be able to get access to people with expertise or variety of knowledge resources to gain expertise.
Right.
As I said, it's a journey. Our intent is to lower the barriers. Our intent is to increase the connectivity, interactions, because all of those are opportunities to increase know-how and be able to increase their skills.
Right. Good. So what do you think enterprises need to do to break out of all this legacy behaviour? They kind of there's these boat anchor technologies. They kind of they carry on working in old ways despite all this new era of how we can do things. How do we get information flowing in companies? And you may want to talk about some of your customers here. I don't know. How do we get knowledge flowing and really just improve performance in that way?
This is the era where dictating a technology top down is never going to work.
Right.
The whole idea is to have a bottom-up organic adoption or organic participation into a platform or a technology. Our belief here is that what Saba does, and we do it for clients and many, many industries, where the clients look at the promise of Saba, and the promise of Saba is that I've got to move my people on Saba, because that's the place where we can increase the connectivity of our people and provide ample resources to our people, where they will be able to, in a self-curated, self-disciplined fashion, to develop their skills and their competence, as well as contribute the know-how and the skills back to the organization, back to the network of people they participate. So partly is a change management challenge, partly is the experience of the technology itself, partly is really a education of the management or the leadership, where they would be able to get on the agenda of really promoting these technologies as a way of getting the entirety of the population of our organization to participate. So we have many examples where I remember days where a self-service learning was a barrier. Everything had to be done top down. Today we've created capabilities for organizations where people will be able, through search capabilities, will be able to find the appropriate learning resources that they need. And we've done it for multiple reasons. They do it because they need to be certified, because it's required, or they would want to be able to develop their career because they aspired to develop themselves and grow themselves. Organizations like, you look at the work we are doing for IBM, you look at the work we are doing for HP or Cisco, where the culture is such those resources have to be available across the entirety of the workforce. It's required by an organization to put these resources in the hand of their employees so they can develop themselves. They can develop themselves for getting their job done, but also developing themselves so they can grow within those very organizations. And the social media and the social learning, as I said, is the new aspects of our work, where we've augmenting the current experiences with the social experiences.